Okay, so this is problem number 4 from the free response, and this is the information you were given. And part A is asking you to find the derivative. So first you're going to have to write the original in a nicer form. Okay, and then this will be a chain rule. Bring down the 1/2. Keep the inside to the negative 1/2 times the derivative of the inside. Okay, and you can simplify it or not. It doesn't matter. They want the derivative. There it is. Okay, part B is asking for the equation of the tangent line when x equals -3. So we're going to start with this. And they're telling you that x equals -3. Okay, so if you know that x equals -3, then you need to figure out what y is. You could do that by going back to the original. So all you have to do is do y of -3. So you'll get 25 minus 9, because -3 squared is 9, which is the square root of 16, which is 4. Okay, and then we just need the slope, but we found the slope already, it's right here. So we need to find the slope when x is -3. So I think we should simplify this a bit, and then we'll substitute in. Alright, so it's going to be a fraction. From the 1/2, the 2 goes on the bottom. The 25 minus x squared is going to be on the bottom in a radical. And the -2x will go on top. Now you can see the 2's cancel, so you just have -x on top. Okay, now you're going to put a -3 in there. So you're going to have a -3 over 25 minus 9. So this is going to be 3 over 4. And your final answer will be this. Okay, and that is part B. Okay, for part C, you're being asked if this function is continuous. So the first thing, they're saying to use the definition of continuity to explain your answer, so we definitely have to put the rule in there. The one part that was tricky, which I'll get to in 1 second, I don't know why I didn't put this in here. But okay, let's do one thing at a time. For it to be continuous at x equals -3, f of -3 has to exist. So we have to find f of -3 first. So when x is exactly -3, we're using the top function, which is f of x. And what I personally think is not very clear about this problem is by f of x, they mean that original function, radical 25 minus x squared. And I feel like that wasn't clear. All right, so this will just give us 25 minus 9, which is 4. So f of -3 is 4. Okay, then we have to do the limit as x approaches -3 from the left side, which is also the first function, so it's going to be the same thing. We know that's going to equal 4. Okay, then we have to do the limit as x approaches -3 from the right side, and wait, did I draw my picture wrong? No, okay. So when x is bigger than -3, you're going to use this one. Okay, so x equals 7. -3 plus 7 equals 4. Okay, so the limit from the left is equal to the limit from the right. Therefore, we can say that the limit as x approaches -3 equals 4. Okay, so let's go back to the question. So, is g continuous at x equals -3? The answer is going to be yes. G is continuous at x equals -3. I'm going to go to the next screen. Because if f of a is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches a, the function is continuous. And we just showed that f of -3 is equal to the limit of g of x as x approaches -3. And there you go. That's that answer. Finally, we have part D. and we're supposed to be finding this. And this is a non-calculator question, otherwise it would be easy. And so this is going to require u substitution. So u is going to be 25 minus x squared, and therefore du is negative 2x dx. So if you compare that to the original, you do have an x dx, but you don't want the negative 2, so divide by negative 2. Okay, and now we can substitute on in. So I'm going to get another color. Okay, so I'm going to take out this x and dx, taking out that x dx, and I'm going to replace it with negative 1/2 du. And now I'm just left with the square root of u. So now I can rewrite this as u to the 1/2. And now I can take the antiderivative, which will be u to the 3/2 divided by 3/2, which is the same thing as 2/3, as it goes from 0 to 5. And now we have to replace that u. And u is really 25 minus x squared, as it goes from 0 to 5. I just want to stop for 1 minute. There were some questions that were multiple choice where once you changed it to u, these limits also changed. That was because they wanted it in terms of u, but we switched it back. That's why it's not a problem for us. But if they wanted it in terms of u, you have to use this information here. So let's just pretend they wanted it in terms of u. This upper limit, you would have to take 5 and put it in here for the x squared, and you'd get this would actually become, this top limit would actually become 0. But you know what, I'll do that at the end just not to confuse the situation. Okay, so now we just have to substitute in. So I think that we should simplify this first. So here's my fraction. The 2 is on top, 3 is on the bottom. The 25 minus x squared is to a positive exponent, so it's going to go on top. It's a square root, and it's to a power of 3. And it says it goes from 0 to 5. So I'm going to make some room over here. Now we just have to do the algebra. So we have a negative 1/2, 2 radical 25 minus 5 squared, which is going to be 25. This is over 3, and it's to the 3rd power. And when you put 0 in there, you just get 0, so we don't have to worry about that. We're going to get negative 1/2 times 2 times 0 over 3, and this is going to give us 0. And they are tricky little devils because of course it's going to be 0, the whole thing is going to all wipe out. So actually we're going to have no choice but to change this all in terms of u. So this stinks, but we can do it. So let's go back. So how would you know? Because you know they're not going to give you something this simple where it's just going to be equal to 0. I mean, you're just going to know that. Alright, so we're going to go back to this part. Okay, so we're going to have to change these upper and lower limits in order to be able to do this. So let me just make a bunch of room. Okay. Okay, so we know that u equals 25 minus x squared. So if we put the upper limit, which is 5, in here, we're going to get u equals 25 minus 25, and u would be 0. And then we put the lower limit, which is 0, in there. We're going to get 25 minus 0, which is 25. Okay, and as you know, you can't have the bigger number on the bottom, so we're going to have to flip it. And when you do, you have to use a negative on the outside, so this negative 1/2 now becomes a positive 1/2. Okay, so now we'll find the antiderivative. U to the 3/2 over 3/2, which is the same thing as multiplying by 2/3, as it goes from 0 to 25. Okay, so when you put 0 in there, you're just going to get 0. When you put 25 in there, you're going to get 2/3, a radical 25 to the third power. So this is going to be 2/3. Square root of 25 is 5. 5 to the third power is 125. So you're going to get 250 over 6, which could be reduced, but we don't care about that. And that was the answer.